Hello and welcome back to Trigger Happy Havoc. Kyoko said it was a bewildering act. I almost didn't notice it at first, but is that the key point here? There's a bit more to learn about non-stop debates. Would you like to hear more? Jesus Christ, how many tutorials are there? Here on out, the number of weak spots will start going up. No matter how many weak spots there are, there's essentially only one lie or contradiction in that debate. What I'm trying to say is not all weak spots are necessarily false. Using a truth bullet on the wrong one and you'll fail to refute what they say. You'll also lower your trust with everyone and your influence gauge will take damage. This is important because if your influence gauge reaches 0, you fail. You have to rely on your own logic to determine which weak spots are lies or contradictions. Good luck, have fun. Alright, so what are the truth bullets we've got to play with on this one? Bathroom door frame. Yes, there's no door lock because the bathroom door frame sticks.
The incident took place in Makoto's room. Sayaka was first attacked in the main room.
Agreed.
She then fled into the bathroom.
Then the killer ran after her.
Yep.
And they got into the bathroom.
At that point, the killer had to try and bust down the door. Because Sayaka had locked it.
Wrong.
And finally, the culprit had Sayaka cornered.
But to finish the job, they stabbed her with the kitchen knife.
It was you, wasn't it, Makoto?
What's the, I'm sure there's a go backwards option. If you target a weak spot, then hold down the leftmost and you can use that weak spot as a temporary truth bullet later in the argument. Okay, I'll assume it has to...
We already know the answer.
Nope. It's not because the door was locked. No, there's a different reason entirely.
The incident took place in Makoto's room.
So yes, I need to actually manage
Sayaka was first attacked in the main room.
Yes.
She then fled into the bathroom.
Yes, I need to actually time it perfectly.
Then the killer ran after her. And they got into the bathroom.
At that point, the killer had to try and bust down the door. Because Sayaka had locked it.
Ah, so I actually have to shoot the, that bit. Gotcha. I'm still figuring out exactly what thing I'm supposed to point the gun at and shoot.
The reason my bathroom didn't open wasn't because it was locked. After all, the girls' rooms are the only ones with locking bathrooms, right?
Yes, now that you mention it, that is true.
Then why didn't your bathroom door open?
Because it was stuck.
Huh? What are you talking about?
My bathroom door doesn't fit in the frame quite right. Monokuma over there can testify to that.
Yup, true as true can be.
Thank you.
But you know, you're supposed to be the ultimate lucky student, right? But to have such a cruddy door... That's not lucky at all!
So the reason the door didn't open was just because it was stuck. But the killer didn't know that and assumed it was locked. So they tore apart the doorknob to get in.
Okay, but then why would the killer even think the door was locked in the first place?
Because the doors had their plaques switched round. They didn't realize...
Everyone should have known you can't lock any of the boys' bathrooms.
The killer could easily make that mistake, thanks to one important detail about the scene of the crime.
The killer was convinced the bathroom door was locked, so they didn't know the door actually couldn't be locked. They didn't realize that the crime took place in my room.
I got it! The killer must not have realized that it was my room.
What? Are you saying the culprit didn't even know
plaques
where
have been
he
switched.
was? That's inconceivable!
You keep using that word. I do not think it means what you think it means.
And yet, he's absolutely right.
Say what?
Well, to be more specific, what the killer didn't know was that Makoto and Sayaka had switched rooms, which is what led to the misunderstanding about the bathroom. If Sayaka had been in her own room, then
there would have been a lock on the door, and they would have had to break through!
So they had no idea how unnecessary their actions were.
Ultimately, we can't know if it came open by force
that
or
implies
simply
that
by accident. But
Killer wasn't the one who switched the plates on the doors.
the killer must have been considerably confused, with no idea how they actually got the door opened.
Regardless, it was a pointless act. Wasting time trying to break down a door that wasn't locked is...
Definitely something I wouldn't do, since I would have known exactly why it wasn't opening, right?
Right, you've cleared yourself at this
That
point.
is a
Now we still need to
possibility.
pin it on the actual killer.
So the killer would have to be someone who didn't know they'd switched rooms?
Then Makoto couldn't have done it.
Thank you for admitting that. That's what I've been trying to tell you.
Then who did do it?
I'm sorry, but I give up! Quit without saving!
But what happens if we can't decide on who we think did it?
Then I'm assuming that counts as them getting away with it.
Well, why don't we just vote right now?
No.
Majority rules!
There's still more evidence.
Majority rules? You really think that's a good idea?
Yeah, our necks are on the line here. Someone seriously needs to do something. For serious.
Does no one have any other thoughts or questions? It does not matter how trivial they may seem.
Oh, as a matter of fact, I do have one question.
Oh, you...
Let
You
her
gotta
talk.
sound so disappointed.
Let her talk.
It's fine, it's fine. Just ask your question.
Oh yeah. Okay, so, well, I was just wondering, how did the culprit get into Makoto's room in the first place?
That's an excellent damn question.
Yes. How did the killer get inside?
Maybe Sayaka just dropped the key somewhere and the culprit picked it up. That's possible, right?
Unlikely.
I don't think so. That seems way too convenient.
Then... maybe someone picked the lock?
Negative! If you remember, Monokuma made it quite clear that the locks are all unpickable.
No such thing if you've got enough time and skill,
Fine.
but
How about this? The killer got in the easy way.
they got her to open the door somehow.
They could have knocked and said they wanted to talk or something, and Miss Maizono just let him in.
No, that can't be it either.
Oh, trying to argue against me? Sounds like someone doesn't know his place.
Shut up, you fanfiction writer.
Hello? Why exactly can't that be it?
Because she asked me to do something in particular because of how frightened she was. The answer is right there. There's no way Sayaka let someone in because...
I got it! Because Sayaka was already scared, remember? That's why she asked me to switch rooms in the first place.
Yeah. Same goes for you, Sayaka. No matter who it is, don't open your door for anyone. Even if I'm sure it's you, I absolutely won't open it. Otherwise, what's the point of even switching?
Knowing what she'd been through, I just can't believe she would have opened the door for anyone.
What if her being scared was a lie?
What do you mean?
Huh? Well, what the hell is that supposed to mean? Why would she lie about something like that?
I know you don't want to consider it, but look at this and tell me. Can you still deny the
Are
possibility?
you implying she invited someone in, then tried to kill them, and it went wrong and ended up with her being the one killed? Possible. There's something I want to talk to you about, just us two. In 5 minutes, come see me in my room. Check the nameplates to make sure you don't get the wrong room, okay?
I found a notepad during my search, and I shaded in the top sheet with a pencil.
Classic trick.
And these are the words that appeared.
Interesting.
Oh man! I've totally seen people do that on detective shows.
I'll say it's a classic
When
trick.
you write, it can leave an imprint. Sketch over the next sheet of paper, and you can see the words. When I saw that, I was like, holy crap! I better make sure I rip the paper out before I use it from now on.
It's a pretty old-fashioned technique, but even the classics can be surpringly
What are
useful
you?
sometimes.
You're the ultimate something.
Oh, and I should also mention, I found the notepad on the desk in Makoto's room.
Huh?
Yeah.
Which means only someone who had been in Makoto's room before the incident could have written it.
Then either it was Makoto who lived there, or Sayaka who switched rooms for a single night.
So, Makoto, did you write this?
No.
No, I didn't. But
Of course you didn't, because the note also bears a perfectly legible signature. Sayaka's signature.
Then, that note, Sayaka wrote it?
But why? Why would she write that?
The note was likely her way of getting in touch with a certain someone. She must have slid it under their door to let them know she wanted to meet with them in secret.
If you got an invitation like that from the ultimate pop sensation, what young man could resist?
Of course, I'm only into 2D, so it wouldn't have any effect on me.
Dude, what the hell is wrong with you?
But can we be sure anyone even got this note? And honestly, even if they did, I do not think they are at all involved in what happened.
Huh? What makes you say that?
Would you like to hear what I have to say?
Go for it.
Very well then. Pay attention.
Yep, here we go again. Now it's our truth bullet here. The nameplates. Okay.
Sayaka and Makoto switched rooms, correct?
Correct.
But in the note, the place they were asked to come to, it specifically says, my room.
I see. So if someone read that note, then they would have gone to Sayaka's room.
Wrong.
Exactly.
The nameplates.
The room that Makoto was staying.
No, that's wrong.
Because somebody had switched the nameplates on the doors.
The nameplates on Mai and Sayaka's rooms got switched.
They got switched?
Yes.
That's right. The nameplates got switched.
Yes.
Just like
I
the
don't
rooms
think this
themselves.
was a murder. I think somebody just self-defensed Sayaka to death.
As a result, the nameplate on Sayaka's room actually had Makoto's name.
And vice versa.
And the nameplate on Makoto's room had Sayaka's.
So what you're saying is, the room Sayaka was staying in was actually marked as her room.
Then, if someone did do what the note said, they would end up at Makoto's room where Sayaka was.
Plus, their rooms are right next to each other, so switching the nameplates would be no problem. And the one who switched the names was... Well, of course it wasn't you, right, Makoto?
No.
Right?
Okay, then who did it?
There's only one person who could have switched the nameplates. The only other person who knew we'd switched rooms. It was Sayaka.
I got it! Me and Sayaka were the only ones who ever knew about us switching rooms. So the only other person besides me who would even know to switch the nameplates was Sayaka.
Yes.
You can also infer as much from her note.
There's something I want to talk to you about. Just us two. In 5 minutes, come see me in my room. Check the nameplates to make sure you don't get the wrong room.
She specifically tells the reader to check the nameplate. She would only have written that if she knew the nameplates had been switched.
Agreed.
But why would she switch them in the first place?
She wanted someone to come to the room she was in, and also hide the fact that it was Makoto's room.
What?
Inviting someone to your room, but not telling them you'd switched rooms. Why would anyone
Sounds
do
to me
that?
like her intention was to kill someone in Makoto's room, then try and pin the whole thing on him? Would be my guess.
To understand that, we first need to understand what happened after she invited the person into the room. That's where the answer lies.
Agreed.
What happened then was probably whoever she invited over came in and attacked her. We figured it out! We know who did it! Whoever she invited over is the culprit!
I'd agree, but...
But we still don't know who it is, you goddamn idiot!
Sayaka fought with her killer there in the room, yes?
Yes.
Perhaps the answer to our previous question lies in that initial struggle.
Yes, I think you're right.
Then... we just have to figure out what happened during the fight, right?
Given the damage to her arm...
That reminds me. There was a replica sword at the murder scene. Was that perhaps used during the fight?
Yes.
Oh yeah. What's the deal with that sword?
Sayaka suggested I should hold on to it. I thought it might come in handy if I had to defend myself. It seems pretty likely that the killer used it to break Sayaka's right wrist.
Okay.
How the hell could you possibly know that's what broke her wrist?
The sword was because when you look at her wrist, there's no doubt. Her wrist.
I got it! All you have to do is take a good look at her broken wrist, and it should become pretty clear. Right there where her wrist is all swollen, there's something glittery there. See?
Is that gold?
Yeah, came off the sword.
It sure is. Specifically, the gold coating from the replica sword. You barely have to touch that stuff, and it'll stick right to you.
Which means whoever was holding that sword also got the gold on their hands.
And there's some on her wrist because...
I got it! Because she got hit with the sword! Right there on her wrist!
Yep.
I see. And so the truth draws ever closer.
Alright, then it's about time to solve this mystery.
What happened in my room? What led to Sayaka's death? That's what we need to make clear. It's a bit more to... Oh, for God's sake, how many additional things are there to learn? Are you getting used to these non-stop debates? Starting with the next debate, we'll start loading multiple truth bullets into your truth cylinder. But just like with the weak spots, only one of those bullets can actually refute the proper statement. In other words, from here on out, you'll have to combine the right truth bullets with the right weak spots to refute each statement. And with the wrong combination, you'll take damage, blah 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 blah. Wait, by the way, if the logic difficulty is set to kind, fewer bullets will be loaded to the cylinder. For our purposes this time, the logic difficulty will be set to mean. Well then, good luck and have fun. Alright. Replica sword, kitchen knife set, replica sword. Alright.
When the fighting broke out, the culprit grabbed the sword.
Yep.
And that's when the first blow was dealt. A sword-based sneak attack!
And that's what broke Miss Mizono's wrist!
So, she tried to fight back. She grabbed the kitchen knife she had hidden away.
But then the culprit took that from her too.
And they killed her with it.
And that's exactly what happened.
No. The person with the sword really did attack first. There's no explanation for how a certain part of the sword got damaged.
When the fighting broke out, the culprit grabbed the sword. And that's when the first blow was dealt.
No.
A sword-based sneak attack!
No, it was the sword sheath that began it.
Actually, no. I don't think the fight started with the sword.
Why not?
Because the sword sheath had been scratched. See? There's a gash in it. Like someone cut into it with something sharp.
Something sharp? You mean like the kitchen knife? That was the only sharp thing found at the scene.
Yes.
Stop jumping ahead! Slow down and explain it so I get what the hell's going on.
Okay.
If the sword was used first, there wouldn't be any explanation for the scratch on the sheath. If you were going to attack with the sword, you'd take it out of the sheath first, right?
Yeah. Whereas if you're using it as a purely defensive, yo, holy crap moment, it's entirely possible you just jam it right the hell in the way.
On, it'd be heavy and bulky and useless as shit.
Okay, so how did the sheath get damaged?
If they got attacked with the kitchen knife, maybe they grabbed the sword as a defensive impulse.
That'd be my guess.
In that situation, there wouldn't be any time to actually unsheath the sword.
So you're saying the sword was initially used to defend against an attack from the knife?
Yup.
Which means whoever had the kitchen knife was the one who attacked first.
Which was most likely
I think I
Sayaka.
get it! So here's how it all played out. The culprit came in, found the kitchen knife hidden there somewhere. Then they took the knife and attacked Sayaka before she knew what was happening.
No, because that doesn't explain how her wrist got broken.
So she grabbed the sword to defend herself, but then the culprit took that from her too. Then, after they broke her wrist with the sword, they took the knife and finished it.
Doesn't fit.
Sorry, but I don't think Sayaka used the sword to defend herself.
What? How the hell can you not think
Her
that?
hands. She didn't have enough gold residue on her hands.
Because she never held the sword at all. There's a certain part of her body that makes this clear.
I'll admit, I'm liking this whole puzzling through and solving it yourself. Part of her body that shows she never used the sword. If she wanted to use a sword, she'd have to touch it with her palms.
I got it! You're talking about her palms, right? The palms of her hands were perfectly clean, so I don't think she ever picked up the sword.
How can you know that just by looking at her palm?
Gold residue.
Like I said before, the gold coating on that sword comes right off. All you have to do is touch it. In fact, if you look, you'll notice that a lot of the gold has already come off the handle. It's safe to assume that's because whoever used the sword got some of it on their hands. There's really no way she could have picked it up and come away completely clean.
Maybe she washed her hands after she escaped into the bathroom.
Sorry, but I don't think so.
Why do you say that? Is it because you think I'm ugly?
What the hell is wrong with you?
No, that's not it at all.
It's like the water gets turned off at night. Yeah. The water isn't on at night.
According to the Monokuma file, Sayaka's time of death was around 1:30 a.m.
Yep.
In other words, at nighttime. And the water in the bathroom shuts off at nighttime, right?
Which is just asking for trouble. I mean, what if you get up in the middle of the night and really need a piss?
Oh, I didn't know that. Actually, I haven't taken a shower here yet.
You've been here for like 5 days.
My.
You're no different. You smell like a big fat ugly donkey.
Guys, what the hell is wrong with all of you?
I'm not sure whether to take that as an insult or a compliment.
An insult, obviously.
Yeah, no kidding.
So anyway, if Sayaka never touched the sword, then that means the killer is the only one who used the sword.
Agreed.
But hold on. If that's right, then the one who damaged the sheath with the kitchen knife was
Sayaka. It would have to have been Sayaka.
I got it! Sayaka? She had the kitchen knife?
She was the attempted murderer, and it backfired on her.
We already said that the attack started with...
The person with the knife attacked first, and the sword was used as an impromptu defense.
Then the one who attacked first was...
Sayaka?
Now do you understand? She wasn't a blameless victim in this.
No, far from it. It's almost as if she'd been planning to commit a murder of her own.
Sorry, if you're going to murder anybody in this group, you would think that it would be the guy who's currently on the left of the screen, mostly hidden, who would be the victim. Because, let's be honest, he'd be the easiest to kill. Little to no physical resistance, relatively speaking.
She took the knife from the kitchen, then invited the culprit to the room she was staying in. And if it's true that she had the kitchen knife and attacked without provocation...
Indeed. These are all the actions of an assailant.
Which brings up another point. Makoto, Sayaka was the one who suggested you two switch rooms, correct?
Correct.
Maybe the reason she wanted to switch rooms was so that she could pin the crime on you. That is a possibility, is it not?
Yes, it is.
Sayaka wanted to... on me?
That would also explain why she would switch the nameplates.
It's called being a sneaky
She
murderer.
wanted to get whoever she had targeted to come to Makoto's room, where she was staying. And by committing the murder there, instead of her room, that would implicate Makoto. But for that to work, the target had to be lured out while still keeping the room swap a secret. If the target knew she had switched rooms, they would have become suspicious right away.
So all that's why she switched the names?
Yep.
But doesn't that plan seem a little risky?
Yeah, it does.
For one thing, even if her plan worked, Mr. Naegi would just tell everyone they'd switched rooms.
I don't know. I'm not sure our soft-hearted Makoto is capable of that kind of cutthroat behavior. I'm sure Sayaka realized the same thing, which is why out of all of us, she asked him to switch rooms.
Plus, she was the ultimate pop sensation.
What does that have to do with it?
A totally forgettable kid. Or a national superstar. Who are you more likely to believe?
Possible.
Wait, then you're saying she had this all planned out?
But the fight went wrong.
Holy shit!
But in the end, her plan backfired. She launched her attack with the knife, then found herself under attack in turn.
Means whoever did it killed in self-defense.
That must be when her wrist got broken, and she was forced to drop the knife.
The tables were suddenly turned on her, and she died at the hands of the one she'd planned to murder.
Just hold on! That can't be true!
Fits the evidence.
Because...
Hey! You guys have totally derailed the argument! You're being super boring right now. Come on, hurry up and decide who did it! Wouldn't it be awful if I had to punish you all just because you ran out of time?
Okay. Figure this out.
Oh yeah, we gotta decide who we think did it.
Well, we know what happened.
Makoto,
Now we just need to figure out
right
who.
now you just need to concentrate on figuring out the answer to this mystery. If we can't uncover who murdered Sayaka, it's over for all of us.
Is it really all over? Obviously, I'm committed to finding out who killed her, but what can I do? As far as clues go, there's nothing left. Nothing immediate left. Yes, we have her dying message. Which clearly says Leon!
It's easy just to say, hey, decide who did it. But there just aren't any more clues, right?
We have her dying message.
That's wrong. There still might be one clue left. Sayaka's dying message.
Dining? Wait, what did you say?
The dying message. She wrote something on the wall behind her, remember? 11037. Written in her own blood.
Says Leon!
There must be a clue about the killer hidden in there.
God's sake, turn it upside down.
Before we get too far into that, I need to ask, can we really be sure that Sayaka is the one who wrote it?
That was one thing I was wondering. Because it was done with her index finger.
I got it!
That's why she had blood on it.
Her left index finger had blood on it. That could only be because she used that finger to write the message.
I see. She broke her right wrist during the fight, so she'd have to use her left hand to write.
That makes sense.
Sure. I think we can all agree Sayaka wrote it. But still, what the heck do those numbers mean? 11037?
Well, it's fairly obvious, but right, we're coming up to the end of this part. I'm gonna record another part today because I want to get this bloody trial finished today. So thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next part.